All right, this will finish out our last section of notes. We're going to talk about extinctions, just as we've talked about speciation events that give us new varieties and species. We also have to talk about what happens when species begin to kind of go away and the variety declines. So first, what is an extinction? Really the termination of a species. Usually, specifically, what's happening when the last organism that is capable of reproducing within that species dies. That's when we experience extinction. Now, extinctions happen when the death rate of a population is higher than the birth rate of a population. So, more individuals are dying than are being replaced. And played out over time, that population is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller as a result until the last reproductively capable organism within the species also die, and then there's no opportunity to reproduce. This diagram right here gives you a quick little picture at a couple of what are called mass extinctions throughout time. So here's a peak right here. We see another one, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. So we'll talk about the 5 major mass extinctions here in just a second, but let's check out this video first.
What is extinction, and how does a species become extinct? To extinguish something means to stop it from existing, like blowing out a candle flame. When a plant or animal species that once lived stops existing entirely, we say that that species has become extinct. Why do certain species of plants and animals sometimes become extinct? According to the theory of evolution, individuals of the same species show a range of variations. Some individuals have characteristics that are better suited to their environment, making them more likely to survive and reproduce, whilst others are less well adapted. These less well adapted individuals may eventually fail to reproduce, and eventually their genes are removed from the population. If an entire species fails to adapt to changes in its environment or compete with other organisms for resources, and its birth rate is lower than its death rate, then it will become extinct. It may surprise you to know that over 99% of all species that have ever lived are now extinct. Typically, most organisms become extinct within 10 million years of their first appearance, although some species have survived without much change for much longer than this. These long-surviving organisms are sometimes called living fossils. The African aardvark and the Himalayan red panda are 2 examples of such living fossils, as both have remained genetically unchanged for millions of years. From time to time, an event takes place on Earth which causes a mass extinction. These mass extinctions are identified by a significant and often devastating change in the number and variety of organisms alive at one time. The most famous mass extinction, called the KT extinction event, occurred about 65 million years ago and involved the extinction of the dinosaurs. The most devastating extinction event happened 251 million years ago and completely eradicated 96% of all known species. This was probably due to a comet or asteroid impact. Today, many species are becoming extinct at an alarming rate. This is of great concern to biologists and ecologists. It is currently estimated that 50% of all living species will be extinct by the year 2100. But what can we do to slow down or halt this spiral of extinction? Stopping habitat destruction is a key starting point. As well as becoming greener, lowering our carbon footprint, and using sustainable products, we may be able to affect this, and it's up to all of us to play our part.
Okay, so moving on. Oh, no, we're not going to watch that again. Like the video said, we have had a couple of mass extinctions. So there are 5 major extinctions in history. Most of these have been due to environmental changes that have been pretty natural. So whether that was because of an asteroid striking Earth or volcanic eruptions producing outgassings, the surface of Earth being covered by too many plants. These are kind of extinctions facilitated by nature. However, what the video is alluding to or was alluding to is what historians are believing might be a 6th extinction, and it's one that we are living in right now. And this extinction is called the Anthropocene. And the Anthropocene is essentially humans impacting the environment, whether that is pollution, whether that is overcrowding, reducing resources, natural resources that are available, topics and things like global warming. All of that is a part of what is currently happening right now. And for the first time in history, we're seeing a mass extinction that is really not due to something that is considered natural, that is due instead to humans really using resources and impacting their environment in a negative way. This video is about 9 minutes long, and so I'm not gonna play it as a part of this lecture, but if you go to YouTube and you Google, "Are we living in the sixth extinction?" This is a really nice video that helps you to understand the Anthropocene and specific human activities that are contributing to it, which could be nice information to have in your brain for a written question, an FRQ, something like that. We'll continue to move on in the lecture part. So here are two graphs. The one that's on the left side of your screen is the human population size, which is the red line, and then also the extinction rate of various vertebrates, which are in blue. So you can kind of see that as the human population rises, as we play it out, 1900s to 2014, especially, huge increase in human populations. And as humans have increased, notice also have extinction rates. And so that is not speaking a positive occurrence to me, at least. The graph that is on the right side of your screen is again looking at various species, groups that have gone extinct, whether they are mammals or birds or reptiles, as time has gone on. So amphibians take a very sharp increase in extinction in the 1900s. Amphibians are living in water, and so probably the effects of the Industrial Revolution and how we are using our environment is leaching substances into the water that are harming amphibians at a pretty drastic rate. Reptiles are also going up, so are fish pretty steeply. Birds and mammals, kind of a less steep of a curve, but you can see we are negatively impacting our environment post-industrial revolution and causing some pretty significant extinction rates. The last thing that I would kind of talk about here is what's the effect of all of these extinctions. So, yes, extinctions decrease an ecosystem's diversity. When organisms are no longer existing, the diversity goes down. And diversity, we know, is important, especially biodiversity. So, diversity here is defined as the extinction rate compared to the speciation rate, right? If we're going extinct faster than we are speciating, then we have less variety or diversity within our organisms. And when that happens, the environment can't really respond well to change. So, anytime we've decreased diversity, we have reduced our variation. That's not going to net a really positive impact in terms of evolution when it comes to being able to respond. It does allow for something called adaptive radiation to occur. And so, adaptive radiation is basically what happens when a species is able to kind of evolve into a new role or niche within their environment or niche within their environment because another species has been removed from it. And so that is seen really well here in this picture. The reason that mammals are able to really blossom as a population, and birds and crocodiles even a little bit, is because these dinosaurs went extinct back in the Cretaceous period. If they were still around, you would not see the diversity that there is in the mammal population because they would be hunted, because they wouldn't have enough resources to actually survive. So, although the net effect of extinction is a decrease in population diversity or ecosystem diversity, it does allow for adaptive radiation, which can allow certain populations an opportunity to grow and to grow larger in numbers because that space within the full system is available to be occupied. All right, when you are done with this, you are done with your last note of the evolution unit and extinction.